Hi boys and girls. Today's mini math lesson is called adding two-digit numbers with something called regrouping. And I will show you what regrouping is in just a few moments. We're solving these problems using the old school strategy, which I talked to you a little bit about in the last video. This old school strategy is the traditional way that your parents probably learned in school for adding two-digit numbers. So the first thing I'm going to do to solve this problem, 28 plus 66 equals. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is set it up so that the numbers are written one on top of the other, up and down, instead of across. That makes it a lot easier to add if you're using the old school strategy. Okay, so 28 plus 66 equals. Okay, just like we talked about before, a little bit of place value, the numbers or the digits 8 and 6 are in the ones place. I'll put a little O up there for ones. And the digits 2 and 6 are in the tens place. So I'll put that little T up there just to remind you. So just like we added before, you always start with the ones place. Now I'm going to switch colors on my marker to make it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. Okay, so you can see any of the changes I make. So we always start on the right side, the right column, or the ones place. Remember, right is right. So I also call the columns racing lanes too. If you forget, we talked about how these digits, the 8 and the 6, they're driving in the ones lane, and the 2 and the 6 are driving in the tens lane. So whether you want to call them columns, lanes, doesn't matter. But we always start on the right side when we're using the old school strategy. So starting with our ones, 8 plus 6. If you need to pause the video, I'll give you a few moments to think of what 8 plus 6 is. If you know what 8 plus 6 is, you know the sum is 14. 8 plus 6 is 14, but I can't just write it down here like this. That's too many numbers. You can't write the whole 14 down here because that would make the answer all wrong. So what do? Well, this is where the word regrouping comes in. So 8 plus 6 is 14. Okay, I'll write that on the side just so you know. 8 plus 6 equals 14. You can only write one of those digits down here in the ones place or the ones column. Okay, so I'm going to look at the number 14 and I see a 4 is in the ones place in 14. So that means the 1 in the answer 14 has to go somewhere else. Okay, if you look at the number 14, notice the digit 1 is in the tens place. That means I have to regroup. I have to carry, this is how your parents probably learned, carry the 1 over to the tens place where it belongs. So if 8 plus 6 is 14, I'm going to write the 1 up here on top of my tens column. So I can remember to add the 1 to my 2 and my 6 when I get there. Okay, and I go ahead and I keep the 4. 4 is already in the ones place in 14. So I drop the 4 right down below the line under the 8 and the 6. Okay, so it stays in line with the ones lane or the ones column. Okay, so 8 plus 6 is 14. You take the 10, the 110, you write 1 up here for 110, and the 4 ones, you drop the 4 down, carry the 1. Now, The ones place is added. Now we move over to the tens lane or the tens place or column, whatever you want to call it. Now we have to add the tens column. We have our little 1 up here, plus 2, plus 6. This is adding 3 numbers. So there's many different ways we can do this. It doesn't matter which order you add the numbers, you're going to get the same answer. What is 1 plus 2? 3. Very good. Okay, so 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 6 is?
9.
Very good. Kiss your brain, whoever said that. Way to go, Malaya. Okay. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 6 is 9. I'm just going to write the 9, so 1-digit number. It's going to stay right here, directly in line with the numbers in the tens column. And my answer is 94. So 28 plus 66 is 94. If I want to fill in the answer up here, I can. And that, plain and simple, is how you add 2-digit numbers with something called regrouping. The regrouping is what I did when I carried the 1, and 8 plus 6 was 14. When I carried the 1 from 14 over here to the tens column, that is called regrouping. When I was in school, we called it carrying. Like you're carrying something, you're carrying your coffee, you're carrying a baby, you're carrying something over. Okay, you're carrying the 1 over to the tens column. Okay, that's what regrouping is, when you carry a number. Okay, well, we are going to try one more together, and then I'll give you one more that you can try at home on your own. Okay, let me erase. Actually, I'm not going to erase. I'm just going to switch colors here. Okay, so let's see. Let's take 45 plus 65. Okay, notice I wrote it sideways again like this, going across. So the first thing I'm going to do is write it up and down, making sure my numbers are nice and lined up together. 45 plus 65 equals. Okay, so we always start on the right with the ones column or the ones lane, and we add up the numbers in the ones lane. We have 5 plus 5. If you need to pause and think about that, what is 5 plus 5? Feel free to pause the video now. If you know your doubles facts and your sums of 10 facts, which I'm sure you do, you know that 5 plus 5 is?
10.
10, very good. So, oh, I can't write 10 here. You can't have more than one number in the ones place if I have these little drivers over here in this lane. Okay, you can't do it. Because I have the 4 here in 45 and the 6 here in 65, I can't just write 10. I have to carry or regroup one of my numbers. So 5 plus 5 is 10, and we look at the number 10, we know that the 0 is in the ones place, and the 1 is in the tens place. So, which of those two numbers, digits, the 0 or the 1, which of those digits should we carry or regroup to the tens place? The 0 or the 1?
The 1.
If you said 1, kiss your brain because you are correct. Okay, so what we do is we take the 1 because there's 1, 10, and 10. It's just 10. So we carry the 1 over here, or we regroup it. And we just go ahead and keep the 0 in the ones place where it belongs, right in line with our 5 and our 5, right in line with the rest of the ones. Okay, so there we have 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry or regroup the 1 in the tens place, drop the 0 down. Now, we have 1 digit here in the ones place where it belongs. Now it's time to move over to the tens column. We don't have anything else before that, so we are good to go ahead and add up our tens. So we have 1 plus 4 is
5.
5. Excellent. And 5 plus 6 is
11.
11. Excellent. Another strategy you could use is make a 10. You could, if you know that 6 and 4 is 10, you add one more, you get 11. So what do? Do I have to carry anything? If my answer is 11, do I have to regroup anything? What do you think? Yes or no?
Yeah.
The answer is actually no. We don't have to regroup anything in 11. Do you know why? Imagine this is my 1's lane and my 10's lane, okay? If these were race cars driving and there's nobody over here in this lane, which would be the hundreds lane, then you can go ahead and write the answer 11 just like this. Okay, but if we had a driver over here, like if we had 145, sorry, that's a really sloppy one. If we had 145 plus 165, then we would have to regroup. But if you don't have any digits before the 4 and 45 or any digits before the 6 and 65, then you don't have to regroup or carry anything. All you have to do is drop the numbers down below. Okay, so 6 plus 4 plus 1 is 11 because, again, 6 plus 4 is 10, 1 more is 11. If you don't have any numbers over here, all you have to do is write 11 just like it is, just like that. And the answer to 45 plus 65 is 110. And I'll write that again, just like that, 110. So the only time you really have to use the regrouping or the carrying numbers is when you have numbers in your next column or your next place, or if you want to call it a racing lane. When you have drivers, these little numbers are drivers over here in this lane, then you have to regroup. But if you don't have any drivers over here in this lane, you can just go ahead and drop your answer down below.